Today, me and Elodie are going to take you through the handstand progression line to take you from a crow position all the way to a full one-arm handstand position. Okay, if we plot those two on a line of progression, starting with that crow frog arm balance, going all the way to the full position one-arm handstand. And what we're going to do now is we're going to populate this with all the progressions going all the way to that position. So progressions of balance. So let's first look at that easiest one. Elodie's going to join in now. We're going to do crow or frog position arm balance. Make it nice and easy. So elbows in to the inside of the knees. Externally rotate the hands. Elodie, you got to join in as well. She might not have done some of these. She's got a gymnastic background, does gymnastic training. So there'll be some gaps and some differences here. So it'll be interesting to see. But I'm putting elbows into the inside of the knees. And then I'm going to slowly bend the arms, take the head and shoulders down as the hips come up in the air. And you should get to a point where your toes start to become light. So my tiptoe is light there, and then I can lift my feet. So that's the goal, arm balance. Crow is a little bit more elbows or knees on top of the elbows. Froggy is a little bit more arms on the, or legs on the outside of the arms. How'd you go with that one, Ellie? Okay, so me and Elodie have got that one. Okay, next let's go to headstand position. So starting to make the body longer, so a taller position, but still got a big base of support. Okay, so we're gonna make a nice triangle, externally rotate the hands, take the head in front. So now there's the triangle up to that position. I could go into a tuck position, or if I have it, into a straight body position. Now notice that angle, I'm not gonna go too upright. I wanna have some weight in my hands. Should I spot you? So if we notice there how Elodie was doing that, she was putting more weight into her head. Her elbows were going outwards, so she was dropping into internal rotation into the shoulders, which is a weaker position. We want an external rotation, we want to have a bit more weight into the hands, so each point of the triangle has equal amount of weight, and definitely more weight into the hands than just being on our head there. So we want to have more weight in the hands, which will carry over better to the handstand balance and we're going to go into. We don't want to just rely on that head position. You will see lots of variations of the headstands. So a yoga one will be like this, which is like a cross between the forearm stand and a headstand, but it's using a very definite triangle position again. And while we're down here, we might as well just do the forearm stand, which I'll put in next. So slightly harder than the headstand variation. So forearm again has lots of different variations. I can change the base of support, so the shape, whether it's a triangle, whether it's a square. I prefer to teach more of a square position for this. So we've got a bigger base support and the hands and the forearms are involved, and there's not a connection between the hands. I feel that's a little bit too much like the triangle headstand position. I prefer to have this position. So here and then forearm hold there. Now we are demonstrating these away from the wall, but they could be done back to wall, chest to wall, if you need some support or even have someone spot you. So I'm going to spot Elodie now just to show you what that would look like. So in a forearm stand position, she's made a square between the elbows and the hands, and then she's going to go up into a forearm position. She can already hold this, but I'm just showing you how I would spot it. So just light spot on the feet, get her to use her elbows and her hands, find that balanced position. There, beautiful. So they're the main 3 arm balances I'm going to go through today. There's obviously loads of arm balances that you could play with and you could argue which is easier and which is harder, but we're now going to go into more handstand variations. So now let's go back to wall, overbalance, balance. So overbalance and underbalance. Let's just go through what they are so you understand what we're talking about. So in 2 arm balancing movements, you can fall 2 directions. We can go overbalance, so this way. So in a handstand, it would be going this way, so falling towards the wall. That would be seen as our overbalance. Underbalance is going in the opposite direction, falling that way. So in an underbalance position would be here, and I'm falling back towards my feet. So that's underbalance, that's overbalance. Overbalance is a lot easier to start to think about and start to train. So that would come next. Obviously we need a kick up or an entry to the handstand, and then we're just going to play with training the overbalance by pulling from the wall. So I'm going to push through my fingers as I make a taller position, push through the fingers, and there is an overbalance exercise. So pushing through the fingers, coming back in. I'm pulling the heels away from the wall, so we'll call that a heel pull. So let's see if Elodie can do that one. So she's going to have light heels against the wall, keep her legs squeezed together, and then she's going to pull from the wall and go back again. So repetitions of that. So we'll call that heel pull reps. Then still back to wall, still working that overbalance. We can now do the same thing, but we're actually going to pull away to a hold. So if I kick up to the wall, make my body one piece, really push away, legs squeeze together, push through the fingers while still reaching up, and I pull from the wall into a heel pull hold. So now I'm holding in that slightly overbalanced position, lots of weight in the fingers, and then I go back to the wall again. So we're going to hold there for a matter of time. It could be 5 seconds, it could be 10 seconds. So let's see if Elodie can get 5 to 10 second hold there. Things are starting to get a little bit harder now. So legs squeeze together, reach up tall, push through the fingers. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. Okay, so there's a gap there for Elodie. She could work on that one to make that stronger before she starts adding the next progressions. Now still back to wall, let's now look at pulling from the wall but with different shape. So let's go to a straddle position, which is easier for most people to get into than a tuck. But the big difference here, instead of my heels being against the wall, now my butt's going to be against the wall. I'm going to push through the fingers, now come off the wall. Again, I can do repetitions or I can pull away to a hold. Hold that position and then choose to go back to the wall. Now we're going to start to see some major differences between my body type and Elodie's body type. So I can do the straddle relatively easy. My body goes into that position, takes the butt to the wall very comfortably. If you watch what happens when Elodie takes her butt to the wall, and you'll find this with females will happen more, but you'll get this very archy position here. Now what that's going to do is make a very strong piked position, but also a very heavy position against the wall with her butt. So she's going to find it very hard to pull from the wall now because she has so much weight sticking out there and it's like the bottom has pulled away. So now see if you can pull away from the wall. See how she's really struggling with this. So this is really common if you do have a lot of flexibility. So watch now, if I pull her off the wall and push her over there, then watch now my position. When I go into it, see how easily I do that, but I have no real extension through the back, and that makes it very easy to keep that connection and pull from the wall. Now, it's easier for me to do that drill, but some exercises are going to be much harder for me than they are for someone with a body type like Elodie's. Then we do the same thing in tuck. So same principle, come down, butt now touching the wall, squeeze the legs together, push through the fingers, pull from the wall. You could do repetitions, or you can do a hold. So same idea, you're holding in a slight overbalanced position, training that overbalanced position by coming on and off the wall. Now in that tuck tight position, everyone's tuck is going to look different depending on their mobility. A lot of people that are tighter in this position are going to find it very hard to pull down into a tuck without being spat off the wall. So Elodie can comfortably get into a tuck, but watch again, see now her back is curved a lot, so she's going to be heavy against the wall. So it's going to be hard for her to pull from the wall. So she'll need to pull down into a much deeper tuck. So bend now, pull down into this position, but now watch her head and shoulders go towards the wall. So that again is going to take a lot more training and conditioning of that upper back area to understand that positioning. But that's where I think most people should be after these initial forearm balances and they can kick up to the wall, then they start to work that overbalance. Next comes the opposite way around, the underbalance. For the underbalance, I'm just going to keep with a straight body position. For the shapes, balancing, I would keep it the other way around, so back to all that overbalance like we just showed with the tuck, the straight and the straddle. This way around, I'll just keep that straight position. So now it's up to the wall this way, and now pulling from the wall. Watch the shoulders, see the shoulders pull the toes off because my shoulders to toes is one piece, and then I push up and go back to the wall again. So that's the repetitions, and then over time I can build underbalance strength and control there. First with the reps and then with the hold, hanging out a little bit more towards underbalance now. So there, going back again. So we're building underbalance, strength and conditioning, keeping the shoulders to toes one segment, and I can control that with the shoulders there like that. Now this one's a fantastic drill, but it's definitely a big step up from the overbalance work we were just doing, the back to wall one, not just from a technique point of view, but the mental challenge of getting the confidence to pull from the wall, being that way around. One way of doing it is to have a spotter. So Elodie's going to go this way. If I was to spot her, my hands would just be here by her calves. She's going to pull from, using the shoulders to come off the wall and then go back again. Then she's just going to practice that for her reps. Arm here just in case she goes too far over. And then back. And now she's going to try pulling from the wall and holding. Oh, nice. Okay, I just want to show you one thing. It's nothing to do with the balancing now. Ellie, can you just show me the bridge way of getting into that chest to wall position? I just like this because I can't do it, but Ellie's got a special way of getting into that chest to wall position. Okay, that's cool. It's enough showing off. So after the overbalance, we have the underbalance first with the repetitions, then the hold. This is definitely much harder for most people than the overbalance, but I'd argue is very, very important, and it's going to give you a really consistent and strong handstand that's got a lot of room for error. And then once we've started to get very good at the overbalance and the underbalance, then it's starting to go into a freestanding handstand. So obviously for the freestanding handstand, it's kicking up now in the middle of the room. Now we can change the shapes when we're here, but I would just start now thinking about holding a straight-ish position. Now straight-ish I recommend is a bit like this for most people, not trying to do this or this, because you'll find that your base disappears, your hips and your legs go over the top and you're just more falling because you're trying to balance like this all the time. Just be a little bit more relaxed. That's the next step up once you've done the wall balancing, is to get a freestanding handstand that has a priority of balance, not a priority of a dead straight line. Allow the body to relax and just find your position, building time there. Some people might find a split position's a little bit easier, and then talking about the split position, another great drill is to use the split here and practice your freestanding balance using the assistance of the wall, and just move the legs around while trying to keep the hands, shoulders and hips on top. So that's a really good balance drill, especially if you don't have a spotter. So that's my handstand hold. Let's have a look at Elodie's. So Elodie's going to do a couple of kick-ups to freestanding. Let's see where she's at with that. So what we'll see when Elodie's doing her handstand balance in here is that she has a few more gaps in terms of the room for error in her overbalance and underbalance. If she can work more on those drills against the wall, that's going to increase her balance window and create a bigger space for her to catch in. So if I now spot her, so this would be a good progression if you're in between the wall drills and the freestanding, to start playing with having someone spot you. So if when you kick up, they can just help go all the way to handstand with both legs together. And then just lightly touch calves on this hand, thighs on this hand. Never take this hand away because the person needs that as a safety, but this hand can move away, and then just help them with their balance and increase their time there. Once we have some control in that freestanding handstand, we can start to work on different things. So we can start to work on cleaning it up. So if it's in this position, I can start working on doing this with it. Now remember, a lot of this is mobility, and I'll be working mobility away from the handstand and then practicing what you have available in the handstand. Our other option is to go into shapes. Now the shapes, again, some of them are easier, some of them are harder. The easier one for most people to go into from the straight position is a straddle. So from the straight position, open into your straddle. Now ideally your straddle should have toes in this direction, hips in this direction, the same as when we were doing it back to wall. So the hips go one direction, the feet go the other direction. So there's the straddle, and then when you come back again, you're there. Now with any of these shapes, you can do repetitions of going from straight to the straddle or to whatever shape you're doing and back again. Just trying to make sure that you go to your straddle and then you go to your straight. You don't have like a hybrid in between when you go back and forth between the repetitions. So let's see Elodie's straddle. So to spot a straddle position, Elodie's first going to kick to straight there, and then she's going to open, and then I'm just going to encourage the hips to come backwards, feet to come forwards a bit, and then just give a light spot there, point those toes. Yes, so pointing the toes helps create one segment, one long line. All right, and then go back to your straight. Nice straight position, hold balance, balance. Got it? Balance. And then come back down. Now, obviously there's lots of different shapes. There's things like stag position, there's diamonds. What else is there? Splits. Splits, there's 7 position. But the main ones I'd be focusing on to start with is that straight, then the straddle, then the tuck. I'll be doing those 3 as a priority and then playing with the other positions on top of that. But in difficulty order, it's normally straight, then straddle, then tuck. So for the tuck, straight handstand position should be our entry into the deepest possible tuck where our shoulders can stay on top of our hands.
And then again, we can do repetitions there, or we can hold the position for time.
So let's see Elodie's tuck. She's going to start in a straight position. And I'll show you how I would spot it. So, oh, good hold. Look at this. So good. And then into a tuck. So we'll put hands on the ankles, encourage the hips to come backwards. Hand on low back. There. So this is going to feel very heavy on upper traps, shoulder position. Then she's going to straighten again. Back to a straight position. Yep, watch those hips. In. Okay, and then come back down again. So again, you see her body, so many options because she's way more flexible than me. So movements, positions are easier to get into, but a lot looser. So she needs to practice that, creating one segment, tightening everything up. And again, working that bigger window of balance with those wall drills. So after those wall drills, we have the freestanding handstand. We've got the straight to the straddle to the tuck. They're the main priorities we need to be working, but we can branch off and play with other shapes like diamond split, stag, 7. There's loads of different shapes. Starting with holding those positions first, then doing repetitions between the straight and the position. But if you are doing the holds, I'd still recommend you enter and exit through the straight handstand position. Next is going into that one arm handstand. So once we're very good at a straight arm position, we can hold it for lots of time, do all the shapes. Then I'd start with one arm handstand, weight shifts to fingertip holds. Now obviously this is a big jump up going into one arm handstand, but once you've got that strong freestanding, that's the way most people are going to want to go. So from that strong straddle position, now we first learn this in straddle because it's easier to shift across and flag about. In that straddle position, the body stays nicely in one segment. So first of all, I'm just going to start looking at that right hand, shifting some weight across, coming back to center, look at the left hand, shifting some weight across, and then I'm going to do the same thing, but go up onto fingertips. So I've shifted enough weight over to go to fingertips, and then I just start decreasing the fingers. So that's going to be where we're aiming for to start with. To get that on both sides, you are going to have a stronger side. You can see that my left side is not so strong as my right, but I can do all the fingertips there and come back again to show control. Now that looks really cool. There's lots of progressions there. That's probably around 18 months of work to get to that point where you can do both sides, go up onto fingertips to one finger. And then obviously the next one is to start to float the finger away. So Ellie's gonna have a go. She's obviously not working one arm handstands yet, but we could play around. I'll show you how I would spot it. So into a straddle position there. Which way do you wanna go, Elodie? Okay, we're gonna go towards the left hand. So she's gonna look at her left hand first. Left hand, yes, that's it. Okay, then shift some weight across. We're trying to get the middle of the pelvis, so the sacrum on top of the shoulder, while pushing the shoulder and the elbow in and keeping everything on top of the base. And then she can go up to fingertips, hold there, and then she could decrease the fingers. That's it. So fingers start going away to one finger. That's it. Now I'm lifting her up in this position. So lifting her up this way. That's it, come back down again. Hands that, and back down. Hips are cracking. So I'm lifting her up. So obviously we don't want to be lifting someone up. They should be pushing. What we don't want to be doing in a one-arm handstand is collapsing when we try and shift across, because there's going to be no space. We need to be pushing and reaching and lifting up to get on top, not try and push things out the way, because you'll just end up collapsing the structure. Okay, Elodie thinks she can do it without a spot. So let's just quickly watch that. Do it back to the camera. That's it. Go into kick up, straight, straddle. She's going to get one attempt. This proves if she's ready to work the one-arm handstand yet. Oh, there you go. Yes. Nice. Okay, so then we can just progress that, obviously going to the point where we lift up. So if I'm in this position, let's do my good side first. We go to fingertips, we go one finger, and then we start lifting the hand up, first for repetitions, and then we can start to lift up for holds. You can get fancy. The other side, I'm not going to be lifting the hand up and getting too fancy without a very good one-arm warm-up, but going to fingertip, lifting up, oh, coming down. So as you can see, there's a big difference between my left and my right. I can just play on my right-hand side. The left needs a good warm-up to even start to get 10 seconds. But you see the progressions. Now, once we get to that, and you can do funky positions in the straddle, we can go all the way into the one-arm handstand positions until you get to the full position or something like the figure position. I can't do the figure. I don't have the mobility. I haven't trained it enough. But full position I can sometimes get. So let me demonstrate what that looks like. So this is seen as the hardest one-arm handstand position. So it's not this. That's straight. Full position is this, which I didn't get. Let me try one more time. So pressure. Let's see if I can get it. Ooh. So straight position, everything on top. One finger, lift that up.
No, not great.
So once we've been through those fingertip holds, then we're going to go to that straddle one arm handstand, start lifting the hand up first for repetitions, then for holds, see if we can get it on both sides. We can go into more advanced positions like tuck one arm handstands. I find that now on impossible. And then eventually you're going to go through to things like full position one arm handstands, figures, etc. But that figure, tuck one arm handstand, full position is seen as the really hard stuff. At the end of the progression line for the handstand balance, if we start on that really beginner level, now we are looking to go from here to here, realistically 2 to 3 years. And that's training very consistently for that time, working lots of mobility and all the things that go with this. If you're after training programs to take you all the way, check out my app, link is down in the description. Reach out for coaching on my website, www.paultwyman.com.au. Drop any comments below and I'll speak to you in the next one.